Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump is going 8 years. I've been saying that for 4 years. The second in 2016, when I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and predicted the 2016 election in 2015, NPR quoted me, "Look below." This will be the second straight election I predict. This will be the second straight election that Democrats and pollsters and media all fail at predicting. President Trump is going 8 years. Now, he's already confirmed his third nominee, his third Supreme Court justice. Amy Coney Barrett has been confirmed. It's Democrats who should blame themselves. They elevated President Trump. That's within their own writing. And they have a real big problem with their own writing. Just ask the former vice president's son. They have a big cybersecurity issue, Democrats have, and it's something that's like, you couldn't even make up a more dysfunctional political party where a computer, every election, a computer owned by Democrats a week or 2 weeks before the election will tank any chance they have. But they never really had a chance this year. Amy Coney Barrett is the first. It's almost like the night before Christmas. November 3rd, a week from now, will be Christmas. November 4th will be the hangover for Democrats. That you look at the Democratic Party, 3 Supreme Court justices from President Trump, about 200 federal judges that are now conservative. You're looking at the Second Amendment that will be protected forever, thank God. You can't defund police and expect people to not have a Second Amendment, which gets to Democrats lying and deceiving their voters. They don't want Medicare for all. They're lying about that. There's a better chance of Clinton becoming nominee in December than Democrats ever. Because I've been saying that Clinton's going to replace Botox B, and I'm still going with that. I can't see them. I mean, can they be serious? Oh, that's right. Biden was talking about George Lopez. Definitely wasn't talking about George W. Bush when he said 4 more years of George we can't have. These people are delusional. Nobody believes them at this point. And early voting is pointing towards a very decisive victory for President Trump. They're not doing what they need to in terms of early voting to ensure that the massive turnout for President Trump doesn't give him the election, which it will. But President Trump's going 8 years. They have only themselves to blame, Democrats. They cheated Bernie Sanders. They elevated President Trump. It's in their own words. So they must have been working with Putin. They altered the rules in the Senate. So Harry Reid said, you know what? We're going to own the Senate. We're going to own the executive. So we'll have, free reign to appoint judges, and we're going to do away with the 60-vote supermajority for Supreme Court justices, and we are just going to make sure that it's only 50 votes, or at least set the table for whoever runs the Senate to allow a 50-vote simple majority as opposed to a 60-vote supermajority. Harry Reid set the table for that, and in The Hill, he was quoted as boasting that he's the one who did this to facilitate liberal judges. That backfired. Everything they do leads to unintended consequences for the Democratic Party. From cheating Bernie Sanders to literally elevating President Trump to changing the rules of the Senate, they have only themselves to blame. By the way, every day, be here at 1 p.m. Pacific for the live stream. Be here at 9 p.m. Pacific for the live stream. Be here for the upload. And after the 9 p.m. Pacific live stream, this upload, I have the 2 best live streams during the day and the evening on all of YouTube on politics. So be here. Make sure that your phone accepts YouTube notifications. Make sure that you have on the notification bell from my channel, all notifications. If you want to be part of a newsletter, it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com. Email me. My website's coming out. If you want to support my voice long-term, my Patreon is below. Your support is greatly appreciated. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding like some people who want to get money out of politics. And what can I tell you? Tell your friends about this channel. Tell your friends about H.A. Goodman's other channel. I'll be doing a lot more on that channel, especially in November. And we're going to win. President Trump, in addition to his third Supreme Court pick, has reversed U.S. foreign policy. The biggest issue we face, the most consequential, a truly existential threat. Okay, climate change is not an existential threat within the short term. Tomorrow, sea levels aren't going to rise. Tomorrow, we could have a nuclear confrontation. It could happen in the South China Sea. It could happen with Putin. It could happen with... There's the possibility that humanity wakes up to no planet because of a nuclear confrontation. Now, that could be the product or the consequence of Democrats trying to create a new Cold War because they lost the election and set up and framed President Trump with the absurd and hilarious and sad and pathetic notion that he worked with Putin to create Facebook ads or to buy Facebook ads, which swung voters in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. President Trump is going to win either all of those states or at least one of those states to become president, reelected again. Now, you look and it's foreign policy is the most important issue we face as a country. The consequences are immediate. That's not to say the climate change isn't important. It is. But Democrats aren't going to ever pass a Green New Deal bill. They'd lose the Electoral College forever. They're not going to abolish the Electoral College. They're not going to defund police. They're not going to abolish ICE. They're not going to ban fracking. They're not going to pack the courts. They're not going to do anything they say because they're liars. And because they deceive the most impressionable and idealistic and passionate supporters, many of whom are petrified of being called Trump voters, which eventually a great many of them will be. Maybe not this election. There's probably going to be more people who defect from the left this election than even 2016. But eventually they'll say, my God, Democrats are just absolutely horrible. But you look, ladies and gentlemen, President Trump has reversed U.S. foreign policy. He's ended the war in Afghanistan. And don't say, well, the soldiers are still there. Yeah, he has set a timeline to remove Americans from that location of the world. Oh, I'm sorry. You're now trying to disparage or trying to critique President Trump. You're voting Democrat. If you're voting Democrat, the Lincoln Project people, the people who got us there in the beginning, are voting alongside with you. So Bernie Sanders and Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld's people are voting for the same political party. Think about that for a second. The pundits that say Medicare for all, Green New Deal, who tell you to vote Democrat, Bernie Sanders, AOC, they're all voting alongside Lincoln Project people. Think about that. Why do you think that exists? Why do you think that really dangerous dynamic, counterproductive, counterintuitive dynamic exists? Because Democrats are, if they're not cheating, they're showing who they really are. Voting alongside, inviting the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld people who ran on a marriage amendment and pushed never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts, and then now they're running a person who actually helped write the 100-to-1 sentencing disparities between for the same drug, the same narcotic that, by the way, his son is accused of using and maybe still uses. And let's not even get into the computer, because that is literally the computer from hell. So, and let's not even get into the thousands upon thousands of emails that Biden does not claim are fabricated. Notice how President Trump with the Steele dossier immediately said it was fake and phony and fabricated. Notice how Biden doesn't say that, because he would be in an even deeper hole. Foreign policy, President Trump has reversed and is reversing. Got Americans out of Syria, is eventually going to get us out of Iraq and Afghanistan, and ended covert programs in Syria to fund rebels that President Obama was pushing. We can't have interventions and regime changes and never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. That is an existential threat. Climate change is perhaps very likely an existential threat in the long term. the U.S. foreign policy, the way it's been conducted the past 20 years, is an actual existential, or 16 years prior to President Trump, is an existential threat. Give me your thoughts below. In addition to First Step Act, prison reform legislation, President Trump allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever, and made that funding permanent. So, anyway, give me your thoughts below. President Trump's going to win. Be here on this channel to party. You got to party. You got to party on some channels. There's probably 10 that you should probably party on, this being one of the 10. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you so very, very much. Tell your friends to subscribe to H.A. Goodman. Thank you, everybody.